And so I says to him, no, you can't stick it up my butt. We don't have any lube. And I'm not using canola oil this time. Oh, hey! Didn't see you there. You weren't listening to my private conversation, were you? Because that would be really bad. For one of us. But welcome back to a brand new video for all of you fantastic little fellas and ladies. So real quick, right before we get into the nitty and gritty of everything, I just wanted to take a minute to really thank everybody for all of the love that I received in my last video. I honestly didn't expect it, and it just really makes me happy to see you people like what I make. Y'all's really is the best. So today's topic is going to be another movie-based thing because I just like talking about things that I like. Obviously, I don't even know why I felt like I had to clarify that. So if you don't like it, then you can get out. So as you probably already know by either the title or the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about a series today that is very new to me. But when I finally decided enough was enough of just hearing about it and not seeing it, I was completely blown away by it. And that series is none other than Dune. Now, if you somehow haven't heard about Dune, you have to literally be living under a rock like the little shitbug that you are. Just walking around like a little dung beetle rolling turds into balls. And even if you haven't seen Dune, you at least know about it. I hadn't seen it until literally like a week ago, and I had already heard a good amount about it because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, as you probably already know. I had heard for years about how George Lucas took a lot of inspiration from Dune, among other things, for making the original trilogy. And so I had just assumed that, well, that's all I really need to know about that. Nah, I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. So Dune, as you may know, is a book series originally written by Frank Herbert. Well, actually, it started out as magazine serials, but it became just so much content that it turned into books. The first Dune book was written in 1965, which was about 6 years before George Lucas would begin to develop what would eventually become Star Wars in 1971. The series was originally meant to just be one book, just titled Dune, and it was like a science fiction / fantasy story about like religious zeal and the myth of messiahs and like religious propaganda and blind faith set in the far, far future, like 10 millennia away from ours currently, and even like 11 then, because it was in the 1900s, which I don't know why, but it feels weird to say that 1965 was in the 1900s. Even the year that I was born, 1999, was in the 1900s. It just feels weird. And to be honest, all I really knew about it until recently was that it inspired Star Wars and that George Lucas took some of the names for things from Dune. Like spice, for example, George Lucas took, and I was totally fine with just knowing that. I was completely okay living in blissful ignorance about this cultural phenomenon that was slowly ingratiating itself into our modern society. I thought that it was just a book that inspired Star Wars. No more questions, Your Honor. But one day I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw a video by a creator that I kind of like by the name of Panda Red, who does superhero sketches, and he included a reference to Dune of the name Lisan al-Gaib, which I had never heard before.
What are you doing? May thy knife chip and shatter. Your move.
There is no fucking way that worked.
There is only one explanation for this.
I am, what's that?
I am the Lisan al-Gaib, chosen of the Bat family.
And I looked it up because I thought, well, that sounds a lot like Ra's al Ghul, so I wonder what it means. And when I looked into it, I was so confused by what these interwebs words were saying. Voice of the outer world, I said? What the hell is that supposed to mean? What the hell is a Benny Justertits? Oh, I was so uninformed, so blind, so unversed in the Fremen way. So I went further and 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 further. I needed to just see how deep the rabbit hole goes. And what I found was absolutely fucking breathtaking. Complex lore and phrases, cool futuristic but somehow medieval names, dope-ass weaponry, Atreides, Harkonnen, Sardaukar, Stilgar, Chani, Leto, Paul, Muad'Dib, Usul, the Mahdi, Lisan al-Gaib. So I just want to get it out there that I think Dune Part 2, and I know that it's early, but I think Dune Part 2 is going to be the best movie of this year, and I will stand by that until the worms take me. And I mean, let's be honest, the only contenders are like Deadpool and Wolverine and Joker Folie à Deux. It sounded so American saying that. And Deadpool and Wolverine is more of a fun movie, and Joker 2 is, I mean, look at it. It's pretty concerning.
Now entering Hot Take Corner.
I really don't think they should have made a sequel to Joker. WB should have just made it the one-off movie and left it to sit in its legacy. But of course, all WB executives see is green. I am holding off until I see it to give judgment, but still, it's not looking great. Speaking of WB, let's get back to Dune, the real point of this video. So Dune Part 1 itself was already a great movie. You had Oscar Isaac as Leto, Paul's dad, not to be confused with Jared Leto, the cult leader and Mr. Morbid Time himself.
It's Morbid time.
I'll still always blast The Kill by 30 Seconds to Mars, which he's the lead singer of if you didn't know, but really knowing about him just puts a damper on it. You had Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Harkonnen, who looks like me if I lost all my hair. Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Josh Brolin, and Javier Bardem reuniting from No Country for Old Men. Another great movie. It feels a little slow and long in parts, but it still holds up. I still like that movie. You have all of these A-list actors, like a real star-studded event. Of course, it's probably going to be a good movie. The expectations, to be honest, were not set too high, but when I opened it up and put it on, I was genuinely not prepared for what I was about to see. I kind of didn't have a very good view of Timothy Chalamet because I thought he was just like some Hollywood pretty boy who was dropped in this role because he was good to look at, and boy is he. I thought there was no way this movie was going to be a Star Wars contender, and I was right. The first one's not really a Star Wars contender, at least not a contender for the good Star Wars movies, but nothing really is, so I can't really like harp on it for that. Nothing could ever possibly live up to what my mind has created in terms of the effect that Star Wars has on me. There's just no way, except Batman. But if there's two things you need to know about me, it's that I fucking love Star Wars and Batman, and always have since I was a itty bitty little baby boy. Well, not itty bitty, more like biggy wiggy baby boy. I was born at over 10 pounds, and I kept it. The love that I have for those franchises and the characters in them cannot be overstated. They're just genuinely like core to who I am. Batman I have loved since I was literally an infant. Like, I genuinely can't remember the first Batman thing I ever saw. It was probably something from Batman the Animated Series, but I don't remember. Star Wars I've loved since I was in second grade when I borrowed the DVDs and VHSs from the library and used my dope-ass DVD/VCR combo that I still have, but it just doesn't work. I remember seeing the cover art for the DVD of Attack of the Clones and being like, whoa, who is this guy? I cannot wait to find out. It was Jango Fett. Point is, Star Wars is just one of those things that is and always will be one of those that has a place in my heart that nothing could ever possibly live up to. The bar is just too high. I've set a standard in my brain that it's just impossible. Like, the connection that I have with it and the unconscious response that I feel to it is just so intense that only like 3 or 4 other things that are also at my core of who I am as a person could ever possibly be at that level. And when I watched Dune released in 2021, I was right. It just can't compete with Star Wars to me. Now, do not misconstrue what I'm saying. Dune 2021 is an amazing movie. It is genuinely in like a league of its own. It's a beautiful, fantastic piece of art. But to say it's as good as Star Wars, a franchise with a dozen movies and a bunch more on the way, 5 live action series with also a bunch more on the way, at least 4 animated series, which 2 are contenders for some of the best animated things of all time, Rebels and Clone Wars, comics, games, plays, books. It can't live up to that, and that's fine. But also, I'm not saying that that's for everybody. That's just for me as an individual person. Me, Tristan. Opinion for Tristan. Me am Tristan. But the movie Dune Part 1 itself is an amazing movie. But there are some rushed things, some stuff that should take longer, characters I wanted to see more of, stuff that could be explained better. But 1, it never claimed it was a perfect movie. And 2, it's already almost 3 hours long, and that's just covering 1/2 of a book. 1/2 of a book of like a 20-book series. It's already pretty damn long as it is, so I get why it had those issues, so I can't fault it for that. The story is very entertaining and is really good at introducing concepts and these new elements that logically should be foreign to you. It does a really good job at making you catch up. That was something that the original Star Wars movie also got a lot of praise for, so I gotta praise this for that too. It's incredible. Like, I'm genuinely impressed at how well it does at introduction. Okay, so you watched the first one and it was really good. But you want to see more. You want to see how the story ends, but you got to wait 3 years for another one. Is it really worth it? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I personally didn't have that problem because I watched the first one after the second one already came out. I waited until literally like 2 weeks ago to even watch the first one, to even consider it. Now, obviously, I wanted to see how the story continues because I liked the first one quite a bit, but I wasn't really in any rush to see it, so I went to TikTok and I just started doom scrolling. More like Dune scrolling. And so I come across another TikTok by a creator named Moschino Dorito.
So you saw it? How was it?
It was like Empire Strikes Back. Literally the 2 towers of our generation. Better than The Godfather, honestly.
Okay, there's no fucking way. You thought that was as bad as The Godfather?
Now, something that I had heard online that he mentioned in the video was that it's like Empire Strikes Back. And just like he reacted in the video, I said, there's no fucking way that's possibly true. Empire Strikes Back is considered by many to be one of the greatest, and by some, the greatest movie of all time. I don't necessarily think that it is the greatest of all time, but some people do think that. So to say it's like Empire or the 2 towers of our generation or better than The Godfather is an insane thing to throw around. So I go to a definitely legal website and kick on Dune 2, and I sit and watch for 3 hours. And finally, the credits roll and the screen goes black, and I'm just staring at my reflection, and oh my fucking God. He was right. They were all right. You were right. Oh my God. I don't even know how to fucking react. How the fuck was it this good? How? I don't get it. This movie was just supposed to be very good, not blow my 100-ton submarine out of the water. You were supposed to have torpedoes, not nukes. How did Timothy Shakalaka do this? He is the Lisan al-Gaib. This movie was fucking incredible. You want to know how incredible? I went to go see it in the theater after already watching it in the comfort of my own home. That's how good it was. I went to a luxury theater, got my grilled chicken BLT with avocado, which was fucking amazing, by the way. Oh my God, it was so delicious. And I sat my ass down in a recliner seat at 7:15 p.m. on a Wednesday night. I kept hitting the fucking button with my chubby sides, and I watched it again. Javier Bardem, Timothy, Zendaya, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Austin fucking Butler, the fucking Disney kid, the kid from Aliens in the Attic. May thy knife, chip enchanter. You're not supposed to be this good. You're not allowed to be this good, motherfucker. That ending scene, woof. I'm about to do a spoiler kinda, so watch out. You've officially been warned. That ending scene with Paul fighting Fade Rotha with the entire Empire's future hanging in the balance. The choreography mixing a Scream Akali Arnis with acrobatics. No sound, no music other than the fighting and the audience reactions.
That shit was dope.
And my favorite scene of the movie when Paul is giving his rousing speech to the entire Fremen army. Ne Lisan al-Gaib. Like, you fucking believe it, bro. Timothy Charmander, I gotta say, I didn't know you had that in you. I didn't know you was like that. My apologies. I wasn't really familiar with your game. He makes you believe he's the Messiah while also simultaneously, you know he's not and that he's using his public perception for some kind of end goal. You feel great at the end, but you also feel some kind of impending dread for what's about to come. And that's what you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel both. You're also supposed to feel that he's the false Messiah from the Jenny Buster Tits propaganda. But you also know he has a reason, even if you don't know what it is yet. And Javier Bardem fucking sells it as this like tired general who's just trying to lead his people. And he's also desperately waiting for this prophesized Messiah to come. And then when he does, he's drinking the Kool-Aid by the fucking gallon. Josh Brolin, a broken soldier after everyone he knows is dead, but he finds a sliver of hope when he finds out that Paul is alive. The Atreides bloodline, his house, is alive. He knows that it's just propaganda, but he's so loyal, so dedicated that he has to follow Paul because of what he represents to him. He can keep that alive. Zendaya, the true love who cannot get on board because she knows what's happening. She's the only non-believer. She knows there's something deeper. She knows there's a motive, but she loves Paul so deeply that she goes along with it until she just can't anymore. She loves Paul. She loves her people. She trusts them, but she loses all of it to just religious zealousness. It's fucking heartbreaking. You're supposed to come out of this movie with all these emotions, all these questions, and this hunger for more. This movie is genuinely, without a doubt, now in my top 3 favorite movies, when previously the franchise had no place at all, even in the top 50, top 100. But now I'm hooked. I'm ready. I cannot wait. The hype is real. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it was everything I had heard and more, and I cannot believe you were all right about Dune. Faux realsies. Alright, so that's going to be it for today, fellas and ladies. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And I beg you, if you haven't yet, find some kind of viewing of this movie, because it's not just fire. It is the fire. That flame is melting steel beams. But anyways, I'm hopping out, so I hope I made you laugh. I hope I made you smile, and I will see you when I do this again. Bye.